This is going to be a video where we're gonna be a little controversial about everyone's favorite movie who's our age. It's a
The
tale as old
Goondocks.
as about exploring as a child. I've never done that on the air. I feel very naked. So this is about our third go at this. I just wanted to make a little point. We did the 100% shocking real video of a ghost caught on tape in Oregon. That was out on Tuesday. That's a lovely show. You should watch it. We go to the town where the Goonies was filmed, a very popular destination for fans of,
Astoria? Astoria?
hypothetically. It is Astoria, yeah.
Let's go to Astoria. Oh, you mean Astoria? Get the fuck over yourself.
Yeah, there's not much there. I have had people like wanting me to take them on a tour. Like, oh, I want to see it so bad. It's like, oh, it's a
Okay.
little town. It's a
You
little
got 30
coastal
minutes?
town. Yeah.
You
You
got
got a
30
half
minutes
hour and
and
two
one
hours
100th of
driving
a
in
tank
you.
of gas. We can see
Yeah.
it.
Is this true? Like we saw the yet again a teaser for them making another Goonies movie.
I think it was an April Fool's joke.
There you go.
I was
That's
pretty
just
sad. I
cruel.
know. I
Like,
know.
There
hey,
was a
I
minute.
know your mom and dad passed away in a car crash, Lily and James Potter, but April Fools. That's not an April Fools.
I don't care for those sort of shenanigans. I often bring up the example in Nintendo 64's James Bond 007 game, which was a
Come on.
fantastic partner shooter game that if you had the game, you beat your friends at it because you played it all the time and then you felt like
And
you
if you
were good
didn't
at
have the
something.
game, you lost at it
You were
all
always
the
at a
time.
disadvantage. Yeah.
Your advantage is my disadvantage.
Yeah. My cousin it was like telling me that you can unlock all of the bonds. You can unlock more Connery,
Oh, really?
not just Brosnan. So you can get all the bonds.
This
Oh.
sounds made
And
up.
it does to an adult.
Oh,
um,
right. Yeah, at the time.
and so I was like, this sounds a little bit made up, Frankie. And he was like, no, 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 like it's in fucking Game Pro or whatever, like some magazine. Well,
Yeah.
it was in Game Pro in April. It really was. And it says you got to go to Aztec, which is like a hard one. You got to put it in
Yep.
007 mode,
Yep.
soup up all the difficulties. You got to beat
Obviously.
that sucker in like 3 minutes. And I tried for like a week and I did accomplish it. I got the thing that's supposed to be like impossible, like beating that, like by technicality, because like I somehow got like 25 headshots in on the boss like all at once.
Yeah,
And so like,
25
okay,
headshots under 3 minutes on the most difficult mode. Yeah, no
yeah,
way.
full unlock, like full
Nobody's gonna actually
completion.
do this.
And there was no bonds. And I went back and I was like, okay, well, I looked up the article because it was like internet just came out. And then it wasn't until I asked probably Ty, code guy Ty, about it. Oh, well, that was obviously April Fool's. Of course, you can't get all the bonds. They wouldn't make it that hard to unlock that. So I did it all for nothing. Maybe I'm being false. I don't think I like practical jokes. I think it's crude. It's like crude humor. I
If you're
don't like
gonna if you're
seeing
gonna
people
joke
fall
me, joke me
over.
to my face.
Yeah.
That was
I
behind the
love
back shit.
slapstick. I don't like people getting hurt or misunderstandings that like hurt people. I don't find that funny. I think that's savage. I,
I too was taken by an April Fool's joke in a publication. It was National Geographic, probably way back in the 1900s, like 1997. It
National
said that
Geographic
they.
should not have pranks in it.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
It
It should
said that
have boobs.
there was a mole that they like the animal mole they did discovered in
Yes,
Antarctica that
you
had
did
like
this to me too.
could create heat off of its like tendrils, and
Ice
it would get
borers.
under, yeah, a group of them would get under a penguin and then like melt and the penguin would sink and then they would eat the
Feast
penguin.
on it.
Yeah.
And he
April Fool.
told
So
me, and I
yeah,
believed it, and
I
I
was so
was all
excited.
excited.
The way that they told you it was April Fool's was like the author of the article. His name was April Fool in like Latin. Like, oh, it's the guy who wrote this, his name is April Fool in Latin. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't seem right. And you kept saying, I was like, maybe. So they're like little moles that have like infrared projectors like on their head that melt ice so they can tunnel by melting ice with their heads.
Yeah, like the most of their body heat comes through their head. That way they can tunnel that way.
Hmm.
And then it evolved into heat. It makes sense. I was so excited because it's so rare that they discover new mammals. That's not some stupid like, fucking mouse on top of a plateau that no one's climbed before, and it looks the same as every other mouse, but technically different. So I was excited that there was a new mammal discovered. Told everybody.
Like when Foghorn Leghorn smashes a watermelon over a dog's head, I'm not laughing because it like hurt and abused the animal. It's because it's ridiculous. It's like out of control how violent that is. That's why that's funny to me. It's not
Does
because
not
it's like,
compute, and that's why it's funny.
Not realistic.
yeah, it's absurd. It's like, wow,
So speaking of
let him have it.
absurdity, Goonies and the Gemeralds.
Yeah.
Let's get to that.
All right, Buster. So at the end of the picture, the picture is overshadowed by the children are going to lose their home, particularly Mikey's home. We got some developers coming up on the scene, some douchebags who are actually just well-meaning, trying to make places look nicer, and they have
Make
the
a bunch of
means.
money.
Just working
Yeah.
there.
They are successful developers.
And they're gonna buy Mikey's house, so he's got to move out of town. He can't be with his friends anymore and go on his adventures. So they're doing one last adventure. They find a treasure map. The treasure map leads them to rich stuff, and it actually accomplishes that, even though no other treasure hunters could find the Goonie treasure. At the end of the movie, they're on the beach. They get rescued. They get found. They had to leave behind
Spoiler
all of the treasure and jewels and rich stuff on the boat because
Couldn't carry it all.
Yeah.
they couldn't carry it all, and the Fratellis smoked them out,
And the octopus, yeah, they're running. They're in
and they
haste.
went through the water. So there's practically nothing on them. The developer's like, yeah, sign, you got to sign now that we found you on the beach. You know, even
The
though you're in an
developers
emergency
ambushed
situation.
them, yeah,
Yeah.
on the beach. Which was weird.
Everyone has like the police scanner in their house.
His mom was always out
Everyone.
buying Pampers for us kids.
Yeah.
So at the very last minute, like it turns out, Mikey had his marble bag full of jewels. Unclear as the ship breaks free and sails out whether that it is suggested that they get the treasure of the ship, which may be legal at that time, but I doubt it. Probably like a heritage.
I'll let you finish
thing.
your thought because I did do an inordinate amount
was-
of amount of
It
research.
was
about these
necessary.
things.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Let's get to the point. Then I'll bring the law into it.
Yeah, so my beef is I was thinking of like a handful of gems in today dollars, a couple of properties, a handful of properties in a decent town, probably pretty affordable. I just don't think. I mean, maybe the initial payment could be made. I was like, how much is a handful of gems worth? Even if they're like the nicest gems. I mean, if they were a freaking diamond in a marble sack, that would be one thing. But these were like colored gems.
Yep.
I was thinking of like a
Rubies,
jewelry
emeralds,
store.
Sapphires, maybe a diamond.
And this is not even getting into like liquidity. Like,
Right.
how are they going to sell it quickly and get the money that they need to pay off the developers? Because it's not like you're just going to hand them over the sack, like, hey, check out these jewels. Be like,
Here.
didn't you just get it off of a pirate ship that allegedly had treasure? Is that yours? Is that actually... Can I have jewels from the treasure ship? Can I go like swim
Yeah,
out
can
to
I
it
go
now and
grab
get
you?
all the? Is it just up for grabs? Like whoever gets to that ship first wins? I don't think so. So I'm suggesting that they weren't even bailed out at the end. That's not going to do anything for you, really. It'll kind of it'll put a spring in your step. It'll make you like a local celebrity. But still, you got to move in with Dada's family.
You're gonna have a really nice next house.
Yes.
I don't see how that solves the problem. I know in the
Yeah.
90s
So
there was
actually,
a
the
turnaround.
law came about in the 70s.
Okay.
So they're well covered within the law, or the law is well defined by this point. Because it's off the Oregon coast, it belongs to the government. They may or may not give you a finder's fee, but that's up to them. You don't own anything on that ship. If you take
Yeah.
anything, then it's theft. You're stealing from the government.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So in that context, then it is suggested that Mikey was stealing
felon.
those gems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would come under scrutiny because, like, oh, you got all these gems, right? When that big news story
where'd you
happened
get
about the
these?
kids finding the pirate ship.
Yeah, I just happened to have
Right.
these on me when I found the pirate ship
Yeah.
full of gems.
And they match with all the gems that were already on the ship.
Yeah,
And
same like
the
faceting and cuts as all the other gems. So that's part one is no, you can't keep it. You may get a finder's fee, which could be that little bag of gems if the Oregon state government felt generous.
what are we
but
talking,
then-
like $5,000 maybe?
Well, here's the other side. I stumbled upon a thread from long ago, but it was a geologist and a jeweler got into like a pretty lengthy argument online about the value of these things. And so they say, like the very beginning, they both agree, like handshake deal, we're going to assume that they get to keep these. This was an argument specifically about the gems found in Goonies, not just
Oh,
like
shit.
any
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was specifically about this movie and the situation going on. The jeweler said that you probably have, because they're not all diamonds. They're set different grades and levels. And he of
Opals,
course says,
sapphires, rubies.
I do say he because it was like Brandon or something like that. The name of the person was very much a male name. The other one was like Trogdor 647. So it could be
Shinesica.
the geologist, sex undetermined. But so the jeweler says, at best, at the time, the value of
best.
gems at the time, yeah, you're looking at about 600,000. And they say, I would have to look at it with my little jeweler thing to know for sure. But just for like pausing the film and it's like jerky because it's VHS.
Yeah, there is like one good
600,000,
shot
depending.
of like a hand with
depending.
And it's one thickness layer of jewels in a hand.
Right. Because saving their house isn't the issue here. The rug is not the issue here, dude. If you do save your house, the developer still builds all around you and all your friends still leave. You need to be able to buy out the developer.
Yeah.
And judging by all of the hype in the film, the developer bought like all of Astoria.
It looks
basically. Yeah. So you'd have to have millions of dollars. And then they would want to have to sell to you. They would want to sell to you.
Exactly. There's obviously a personal element to this. They're getting pissed off at these people, and
so
I don't think they're going to be willing to.
Yeah, they're not going to break even on the deal. They would only sell for a profit on top of what profit they would have made had they demolished all the houses and built the development. So we're talking like $10-15 million to buy them out to get them to stop the development. And then
the golf course is sort of my vision of life, but my wife really likes jewels too. So
yeah. Okay. Get golf course with a bunch of $1 million homes. In order to put this argument to bed, these two people arguing about it are like, okay, well, what do you think the value of Mikey's house is? And then they get into mid 1980s real estate in Oregon. It's several stories. They have 2 boys and parents, so it's got to be at least 3 bedrooms. We don't see much of the house, but it does look updated in renovations. At the time, probably $120,000. Assuming they
the
have
stuff in the attic's worth millions, but we don't know about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, dude stole shit from the museum. My dad works at a museum. And he's got a bunch of the stuff in the attic. Like that's no. Then they say, well, okay, how long do you think they've lived in this house? Because now we're talking about equity versus debt. In the end, the gems aren't enough. You could buy your house and pay it off. The steamroller of development is still coming. So it would be like the house in Up. You've got this one shitty early 1980s, late 1970s house in the middle of this brand new development. Everyone else still has to leave.
Best case scenario, all best assumptions. You can't afford it still. We made it up.
Then the jeweler in this argument brings up capital gain. Okay, so let's say you did find and you do get to keep the 300,000. 40% of that's right off the top.
Yep,
going right into our collective
right into Elon
Uncle
Musk's
Sam's
back pocket.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in all, it's a windfall for money. For a kid, that's like more money than you could ever imagine. But As an adult, not enough to stop the
Okay.
developers.
So that's the main thing. Now enjoy the rest of the rant that we did a month ago. James is really riled up. We didn't know this was gonna go this long. We're all mad now, and we
If
didn't
I
even
don't finish yelling at this microphone about it, it's going to be like a sneeze that never happened. It's going to bother
yeah.
me for the rest of my life.
We're over the painting now. Like, why is that there? How did it get up there? Who framed it?
Who
If they
framed
framed it,
it?
yeah. How exactly did that end up in somebody's attic with nobody caring that it has a priceless treasure map? All right.
Throughout this, not only the ship, but also this seaside restaurant's history, there are far too many people
Yes.
who would have insider knowledge on there being treasure down there, or at least that there's an elaborate cave system to be explored for this not to have been found.
Mm-hmm.
How long was that well there? The well that is right next to where they find that's like the last thing they do, right? Or no, the pen. There's a couple things, but
There's a couple
that's
things, and I'll get
nobody's
to
ever
those.
looked down that well. Nobody's ever bothered to climb down it ever. Like, oh look, there's a huge cave down here. And then there's the pipes that go up to the school. Somebody
The
installed those
plumbers
pipes.
installing those pipes. Yeah.
The pipes came out after
the locket
Pirates.
thing?
So
Did the
what,
guy
were
make
they
the
just
locket
feeding them
himself?
through?
Who made the locket thing that had the rocks on it? Because
Yeah.
somebody would have seen that.
The Fratellis, whatever their counterfeit operation is operating out of in an abandoned like restaurant or something. So there was a restaurant after Pirates, and so there was people working there, people coming, patrons coming there. This was a place of business. It must have been in order for it to have like a kitchen and a freezer and everything. So this wasn't always like a getaway shack. This was an actual place people knew about that I'm sure people spent time by that fireplace, probably lighting fires.
Mm-hmm. Or
Nobody
electricians and
knew.
other plumbers, other like
Yeah, there was
people
never a
just
plumbing incident.
working.
And every seaside anything, usually restaurants, bars, things like that, there's a dock, which means you would approach it from waterside, not to pander, but approaching it from the water side, you see this seaside restaurant, and there's like this big gaping cave large enough for a Spanish ship or European ship to go through, and no one went in there.
Well, I
Like
think
by
wasn't it a
boat?
thing where that had to like crumble away, like once that it was like liberated by some kind of like
Oh
Rube
yes,
Goldberg
yeah, you're
contraption.
right.
It was all about the
Because
Rube
yeah,
Goldberg.
once they lifted one gem off the scale tipped, and then like a whole rock wall
Because
fell down.
everyone died in place without moving around the table while having a nice dinner. James?
Oh, okay,
In
yeah.
the back.
Peg leg Joe, for who hasn't been listening. I'd like to set booby traps up in this tunnel before we all sit around this table and die. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great idea.
What's
Okay,
your goal?
okay.
Yeah, what's
I'm
your
gonna go do
goal
that.
here,
Set
Willie?
all the booty traps.
All right, I'm gonna go set booby traps. All right. One more thing. Can I set up an organ that a door won't open unless someone plays like very specific notes to booby trap this tunnel while we're waiting for these enemy ships to leave?
Also, notes
do we
that
have time?
You could play as a very amateur piano player. You could still figure this out.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean, none of us are acclaimed pianists, but I think we all know our
so
chops on the old
Willie
organ.
is clearly like red meme. Like the goal of Willie is to protect his treasure after he's dead, when it couldn't possibly help him at all.
At all costs.
At all costs, like went to
Yeah.
great expense, spared no expense to
Yeah.
have treasure after he's dead. So clearly
Captain,
believes in an afterlife. Yeah, yes, James.
I have no problem sitting here and waiting for us all to die at varying times depending on our health and age. But before we do that, would you mind if I built an entire rock wall closing in this sea cavern? And then if it's all right with you, if we have the time, I'd also like to set some
Goldberg.
rigging and a complicated set of pulleys and levers so that if anyone moves a single coin or gem from this scale that's sitting in front of us on teetering water, that whole wall is going to collapse. Do we have time?
Also, would it be okay too if we had an immortal giant octopus, the only one in existence, and we'll keep that in the cave with us too?
Yeah, I mean, once I rock in
Or
this
a
cave,
breeding
everything
pair
that's in
would
is
be
in.
okay.
If it's in, it's in. So yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna have to feed some of us.
But not too many.
Not too many.
need
We
plenty
need,
of weight
we
at
got a
that
full
dinner
table worth of dead here.
people going and looking for a Chester copper pot, there was so many ways to find him. It really doesn't seem like it would be that hard if you were looking.
How did he find it if he left the map and amulet outside the cave? Would those not be in his satchel?
He just
That
knew how
that
to
would
get there,
require
so he didn't
there
need
must
it
be some
anymore.
more backstory to how that all got into Mikey's attic. And maybe there was. I don't know. But
So he brought the dynamite to collapse rock wall holding this thing in.
Maybe?
uh,
So he must have been in the chamber before
Yeah.
and had been in these caves before. Otherwise, you would have brought the map with you.
hmm
And why bring dynamite to an open set of caves?
dude, hang on. Throw out the book. Here's what happened.
Okay, book
There
gone.
is no one-eyed Willie. Copperpot was worried that people would think he was crazy for looking for One-Eyed Willie, so he rigged this whole thing up himself, and then he chose to die in that
So he was a serial
deliberately
killer?
starved to death in the cave, so that it would look like he died searching for the treasure, rather than he committed suicide because there was no treasure and he was wrong.
So was he a serial killer or a grave robber?
I'm gonna say grave robber. Yeah, I don't. I
Okay.
wouldn't. Yeah, I think he was just really embarrassed. I don't think he actually.
So we're in
murdered.
accord that Chester Copperpot is a piece of shit.
He's
He
crazy.
killed,
One
killed
way
like
or
a
another.
handful of people and dressed them in pirate clothes and put it in like
No
built a
one will
pirate
miss
ship.
them.
But where did he get the ship and all the gold and jewels? Damn it, I'm foiled.
I don't know, but his level of decomp was the same as One-Eyed Willie.
Right.
He's
Right.
also from like Studio 4's prop vault of like beef jerky skin and skull with teeth.
The kids go in, and then the Fratellis chase them, and then Chunk and Sloth go after them. There were never bats flying out of that fireplace. Okay, so those jewels must be enough not just to buy your property, but also to take care of a unwell, developmentally disabled man.
Physically and mentally disabled
And
human
mentally
being
disabled
who I
man.
can only assume never existed on paper. Someone would have wondered what happened to little whatever his name was.
So
Billy
the kids
Fratelli.
have been found after several hours, and they just show up with this family member of known criminals who is kind of, I mean, I guess you don't need to include this, but he is kind of monstrous. And
gigantic in stature.
hey, Dad,
like,
is it okay if he
intimidating
lives
physique.
with us for the rest of my childhood? Oh, yeah, son, that's fine. We got plenty of money.
It's fine.
Like, oh, it's okay. You can come stay with us now.
You live with me now.
Who are you to say that? You don't own no damn house, boy.
You
Your
don't pay
dad
no
hates
bills.
you
parents
already.
don't even own a house.
You think your dad wants 2 3/4 of you?
I feel like the developers met them on the beach because they've been dodged so long that they're like, okay, now we know where they are. There's no way they can avoid us on the beach. But then it's only Mikey's family that needs to sign.
Hmm.
Does that mean everyone else already has?
In which case, the treasure won't help them.
It was
They already say, yeah,
moot at
your
that
property
point.
belongs
So
to
if
Troy's
Mikey's
dad.
parents sign, then they'd have, okay, now Data's parents, you sign. Who, by the
Yeah,
way, are millionaires.
are they going alphabetically? Because
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Oh God, she dropped him on his head as a baby. That's the official narrative for why that is that way. Because she sings him "Rockabye Baby" and
disfigurement of his head and mental challenges because he was dropped on his head as an infant. Why would that make him basically Bane in stature? He'd still be the same size as everybody else.
that's a
Toots,
good point.
aka your grandma, aka old lady Fratelli, is diminutive in stature. She's like 5'3".
That's a good
Yeah.
point. He wouldn't be a giant. Like
And
the
both
head
brothers
drop
are like-
thing's not gonna call it gigantic.
Yeah, the 5 o'clock shadow dude is maybe 6'1", and then the guy from the Matrix is like 5'11", and then you have a 7-foot tall guy because he was dropped on his head. Maybe. I mean,
Does it make you taller?
if pressure is applied to the medulla oblongata, it does create abnormal growth. Look at Robert Wadlow and most clinical giants. But doubtable that doesn't. He's been lifting plates to Jesus. That dude can bench 500 pounds. That doesn't happen from being chained up. You'd be emaciated.
The kid, the Data's inventions are freaking nonsense. Like you got these chomper teeths that can be used as a grappling hook, like can actually just like a little toy tooth can grab onto a ledge and suspend a human body weight and then bungee them
Yeah.
to safety.
using a what's it called? Slinky.
If his parents aren't billionaires, he is for inventing that. Like Slick Shoes
You've learned to take
wasn't your
a
best
made in
work.
Japan clacking tooth toy strong enough with molded plastic to hold the weight of an adolescent child.
And I don't know if Data helped Mikey with the like gate opening mechanism that involves like popping a balloon and having a chicken lay an egg onto like a weighted
Oh,
basket.
1,000%, yes. That's Data's work through and through.
Okay, so I was gonna say because Mikey would be rich too. He's like a professional engineer. Like that.
I'm,
That was
I'm
no
thinking that's
joke.
because they've been friends for so long. It's like putting some history to that friendship. Like Data is so genius creating these things that it like spills over even from his house.
Well, okay, tough guy. Then did Data help One-Eyed Willie too? Because One-Eyed Willie has a thing where when you touch the scale,
Booty
it
traps.
breaks a rock wall. That guy's gonna be a millionaire too.
I think that was pirate number 4 because One Eyed
Maybe he
Willie
wasn't a
was
pirate.
so
He
determined.
was a professional inventor and engineer.
And this was like his legitimate money, and the
Yeah.
Spanish Armada's after him just to rob him,
He
not even
just
like
bought
claim back their
collectible jewelry
generals.
with it. And then they all dressed
Because
up
we
like
did not.
pirates.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but Captain, one more thing. Could
James,
could
yeah.
we take the treasure and strewn it all about this room instead of keeping it in the chests and barrels in the keep? Is that okay?
I
Can
like
we
looking at
die
it.
like surrounded by treasure?
Yeah, this is how I want to die. This is
I don't
how I
remember
want.
seeing any crowns or chalices or scepters or orbs that would denote that they stole this from royalty. I think this is probably their money.
Not only great pirates, but also capable of feats of engineering. And then coincidentally, same thing with Chester Cobblepot, same thing with Data and Mikey. This is an area that promotes genius in human beings, although not the kind of genius that helps you find treasure, but the kind of genius that helps you build machines that mankind has never seen.
Oh yeah, some of those contraptions, the ideas behind them didn't come around till the early 1900s.
So Goonies 2 has a lot of explaining to do. Was it Data or his no, it was his parents that had this stupid like camera that like pops out of your stomach, right? Wasn't that a thing?
Data had the same thing, but it was a boxing glove.
Yeah, that
And
was smart.
physics is ignored by it because the forward action of this boxing glove can throw an adult man back, but the child not back. He stands true.
Uh-huh. Right. Good
Equal and
point.
opposite reaction does not happen in this case. Maybe it's because of the stored tension of the spring, but
Right.
I didn't buy that even as a kid.
Right. Oh no, I mean,
Not
yeah, if it
buying
was
it.
like shooting a gun kind of, like if it was had a so much that like would knock them down with.
So yeah, even shooting a gun, you're creating momentum. So in the movie, when you see a dude or someone shoot a gun and the other guy flies back, you would both fly back. That's equal and opposite reaction. You can't just stand there, shoot a gun, and it makes the other person fly away. That's not how that works. That's why when you shoot something that just knocks over a little piece of metal, your shoulders soar because you're getting the same force, sort of, but the reaction of that initial thrust has to go somewhere.
So like belly mounted Polaroid selfie stick is not a very good invention. So I feel like the genius lies in data. Because data, no, his name's
I think
Data.
in
It's
the movie,
Data.
the mom says the same thing.
And because Data is in Star Trek and Data is the boy. If you have to trace the inhuman genius somewhere, it's got to be him because you don't see the parents. Like maybe the parents helped make all the inventions for him, or maybe he helped them to make their
I think
inventions.
they, I think he was fostered in an environment that failure is acceptable, and so he's able to experiment.
Yeah. Aw.
Oh, you guys.
Everyone can just make. Basically, there's too many people who can make unrealistic inventions.
There's too many people who would know at least that there's more to this cave system, if not also know that there's treasure at the end. In the history of One-Eyed Willie and the Boathouse Cafe, there are too many people that would be able to walk 50 yards down into this thing, 100 yards at best. If someone did go down there, they would immediately be hit by punji sticks, and there would be a full-blown police investigation about a death on this job site.
So the inscription on the map is in Spanish. Is
Yes.
Willie a Spaniard?
Wait a second. Why would there be a map? No one left that tunnel. But that would lend credence to One-Eyed Willie betraying the Spanish, and that's why the Spanish Armada is chasing him and he hides in that cave.
Hmm.
It was all Spanish in origin. Captain, if we've got a little extra time,
William.
I'd like to draw a very detailed map and create an amulet on how to find this place. I know we're time bound. I need to die at this table just like everybody else. But if I could escape just for a
real
minute
quick.
to go get
And
this
this
map
is
out
our
into
secret.
circulation,
This is something we're trying very hard to keep secret.
Yes, but we will leave the map outside for someone to find.
Like maybe they had some people that were separated that would need to find it, or boy, no. Goonies? No.
No.
Have I said no to Goonies enough?
We're on the beach.
Okay.
It is the break of dawn. The parents
Just realizing
in a
their kids are
stir
missing.
that their children are missing and possibly in danger, and they get a call that their kids are on this beach. What the fuck pizza place is open for Chunk's parents to bring 4 full-size cheese pizzas at dawn?
That's true.
Is that dinner from last night? Also, how many other calls did you go to with a fresh pizza and just end up having to throw it away because they weren't there?
Yeah, they're on their way to an emergency and they pick up some pies. They're like
At dawn.
like,
Do
oh,
they
our
own-
children,
well-
they found him. Thank God, let's go grab pizzas.
They might actually own that pizza shop that Chunk,
Okay.
our beloved Chunk, watches the police chase in, because he's kind of there killing time, like any indentured servitude kid that has to spend time at his parents' place. He's got a slice of pizza and a shake. Chunk's broke as shit. He's not mowing lawns. He's not raking leaves. Look at him.
Well, I'll
Would you
go.
just
What a
look at it?
treat, right? If they're all, yeah, like, oh, I work at the pizza place. We all eat that pizza like every day. Like, oh, wow, pizza is great. Like, I guess they're kids.
I could get a fresh pizza at dawn to go to an emergency if I owned the parlor. But then we still would have had to stop and make the pizza.
You gotta make the pizza. Yeah, exactly. That's almost worse because you have to make it. That takes more time than just like picking one up at the dawn.
In the
pizzeria.
off chance that our missing child is at this beach call.
the seaside early morning pizza parlor, which are so popular.
Were
out
they
there.
were the police there because they were missing, or did they call the police because of the Fratellis? Because that is far
Okay.
less than the 48-hour missing persons call.
Mm.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, we don't know that. Yeah, that they
We're
may have been
assuming that they're responding to an emergency rather than we found the Fratellis.
because they were just cruising the beach, right? They just kind of, but the parents were like right behind them. I don't remember,
There,
but
there
yeah.
was a patrol on the beach looking for fucking kids, drinking beer, having fires at dawn on the beach, and then they see these kids climbing out of the rocks, and then phoned it in, and then
Okay.
cut to undisclosed amount of time later. There's
Okay.
the whole media and police circus.
That does sound
uh,
right. Yeah, that does sound right.
So to Danielle's point, now that we've reached it,
Which one?
100 years plus, this ship is still seaworthy.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Like I immediately was like, it's gonna go out of the water and just
Sitting basically scuttled in a cave at the will of rising and lowering tides. It would have been scraped against the rocks to nothing. At least a hole that would sink it enough that it's immobile and no longer bouncing against the rocks with every tide change.
Yeah, out on the coast there's like a shipwreck, and it's just a skeleton. After a certain point, it like I
Mhm.
guess
It
they
takes
kind of
months.
corrode on the beach
Yeah.
like that.
especially if they're not in use, like it's just gonna be wearing down and yeah.
No one's scraping barnacles.
No one's scraping barnacles.
No one's putting hot tar in the separating rotting boards.
Hmm.
Thing would have sunk.
Yeah.
Maybe not submerged sunk, but would not be seaworthy.
Yeah.
It would have settled onto the bottom of that cave.
This is all notes for Goonies 2. Like if you're making Goonies 2, you better listen up. All right.
Does it not? Maybe I'm remembering this wrong. Does it not also like drop sail?
Yes, I want to say
It's, like,
pretty definitively
full on
that
ready for
when
travel?
it comes out, it kind of like unfurls and
Opens
everything. You're
up
like,
and
oh,
just-
pretty sure.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah. I think
Goodbye, One-Eyed Willie.
so. Yeah.
You're part of our family now. So,
That was the only thing I had was
let's talk a little bit about the premise for Goonies 2.
Yeah,
in space.
they
Not in
have to
space.
explain all this shit. Is it in space? I could go to
It's not
space.
in
Goonies X.
That's obviously
X means
Goonies
it's
10.
space.
Goonies in space.
I mean, I
So
know
I
they
think the
wrote
most-
one, right? And they were almost made it. I thought they did make it but then it never
I
came out.
feel like you're right, where it's on the writer's room floor somewhere,
Hmm.
just didn't get picked up.
And like
I don't think
several
any
of the
us
actors
can.
had agreed and everything, and it was indeed like their children. Yeah.
The thing I could foresee if they were to make Goonies 2025 would be Corey Feldman and Sean Astin as adults, and they are now at risk of foreclosure because it is found that it is illegal to take gems off of government property. And so their
Corey
houses were
Feldman's
saved
dead,
with
right?
no.
That's not a thing?
Corey
Okay.
Haim is dead.
Okay.
Corey
Okay.
Haim.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Corey Feldman's still doing his damn thing.
He's being a weirdo.
Oh, he's still
Yeah,
making amazingly good music. That's right.
yes, yeah, that's right. Throughout their lives, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were very close,
Yeah.
but their roles shifted from Corey Feldman being the party guy to Corey Haim, and that he lived quite a while, but I'd say within the last 5-6 years, he did pass away. The houses are saved through ill-begotten funds. The federal government gets involved and said, "Hey, that money wasn't yours to begin with,"
Yep.
and now they're all facing foreclosure. So they just called Data who inevitably lives in Japan, New York, San Francisco as like a billionaire,
Mm.
and then he
Is
just
a
fixes it for
vegan.
them. Or do we find that there is some sort of blood tie to Mikey's family? Yeah, Sean Astin playing Mikey, that he is related to One-Eyed Willie and they're owed billions more.
Annoyingly, they probably would keep it in the same pirate treasure premise instead of doing something different with it. And they would make it even more like, oh, he's related to them. Oh, there's like, there's a connection. Like that's what they always do. I think they're doing that less and less, but I think that's what they would do.
Turns out One-Eyed Willie wasn't a captain, he was an admiral, and there was an armada of treasure ships up and down the coast.
This was just one
There
of
you go.
his treasure deposits.
This was just his flagship.
So they
Ba,
have
ba,
to
ba.
find all the treasure and then steal it to pay for the fact that they stole the treasure in the first place and got caught.
Yeah, from 1985 to 2025. Like, yeah, they put some vigor-ish on it. Yeah, you don't just owe us the $1 million in gem rolls that you found. There's back taxes. But speaking of, not to mention capital gain.
Oh yeah.
Oh no! Now it's turned again.
Yeah, they're gonna tax the hell out of that.
30%.
You fucking find treasure, you don't keep it.
$700,000 split 7 ways stops 7 buildings in this 100-building development. Yeah, they're just gonna move forward.
Or it's gonna take just like another month longer to get it dealt with.
Well, I have $1 million now. I think I'll keep my house and not take your $120,000 offer. Well, how about you keep the $1 million and I offer you $200,000?
Mm.
Oh, okay, I'll sign.
Could it be possible
Could
that
it be possible?
Aliens.
that
Exactly.
only Mikey and Brand were threatened by the developers? I'm pretty sure that's not the case, and I know that
It
in
doesn't
real
come
life,
up.
Data lived next door.
It doesn't specifically come up that the other guys are in danger of living in their house. It's breaking
I'm
up the
thinking of
group.
the speech, like when next time that sun comes up, it'll be in another town, or like. So he's talking about everyone. Was my
Yeah,
understanding.
I always thought that everyone was breaking up, but
Yeah.
realistically, why are they only pressing Mikey's family to sign unless everyone else already signed
Mhm.
or their houses aren't part of what's going to be the club?
That could be, yeah.
Huh.
Now we're gonna have to rewatch
I mean,
it.
What happened to their bikes?
And again, so if it's just Mikey, okay, just like move to the other end of town. Now it's like
move
15
on the
minutes.
other side of Data who doesn't have to sign.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Just buy the house 2 houses down.
Just fucking move into Data's basement for a while until Mom's
I'm
arm
sure his
gets
parents
better,
will
and
be
then you can
fine.
fucking work again, and yeah, well, you'll be fine.
I mean, if people are letting Sloth move in the house with them, I mean,
If they can afford to host Sloth, they can afford Mikey's family. I guarantee that
Yeah.
shit. Because those guys can like earn their
that's what I'm
keep
saying.
around here.
I would be interested to see if the sales of Baby Ruth went up after the release of the film.
Probably.
Or down.
I bet they had a slight monetary bump, and I wonder if the filming, the producing company had to pay a little bit to use Baby Ruth in their film.
I wonder if the sales of Baby Ruth went up or down after Caddyshack.
Oh God, that we had to rebound somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, we got this heartwarming story. It's a ragtag team of suburbanite children who are about to lose their house to a developer. Yep.
Yeah.
They have to drain the pool. Duty.
So it looks like a
Spalding.
blue.
Maybe we should do Caddyshack because
That's a
I've got
fun.
some notes.
Yeah.
I'm one of those weird people who I don't really understand Caddyshack. I mean, I'm down
As
for the
you should,
ride.
you're probably the most logical of them all. There's plenty to not understand.
It's a pretty yeah.
Like to where I don't even really like. It's not very entertaining to me, I guess.
Hmm.
Not a golfer. I find the Bill Murray character somewhat amusing, but definitely not as much as everyone else does. Like you're one of those assholes who even likes like Caddyshack 2, right? Am I wrong? All right, fine.
Yeah, me.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Rodney
Yeah, I
Dangerfield
think we just
probably owns the development company in Goonies if we were to make it like, same universe. Troy's dad answers to somebody, and it's Rodney Dangerfield from Caddyshack.
For sure.
Billionaire eccentric developer. Tune in next time where we destroy your childhood movies with adult logic.
You guys remember this game?
No.
Daniel, do you know this one?
Mm-mm.
You hold your tongue and you
Uh-huh.
say, I gave my teacher an apple.
Oh yeah.
It's stupid shit.
Yep. Say apple. Well, yeah. Apple.
This will be one of these videos that takes 4 years to make. And it'll be like a 5-hour compilation of things wrong with Goonies.
Well, just yeah, I like thinking about it from being a kid. You're like, holy shit, I found gems, and you're like, oh my god, everything's saved. But then the parents are like, yeah,
Yeah, well, good job.
change everything.
Please stop wandering off like that. You've had us
Yeah.
worried.
And now
Goonies
and
too,
now,
they
like,
all die.
and now they brought that deformed guy home, and he's just gonna
Don't get me
live
started.
with them now forever.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not again with all of our assumptions, we're not even factoring in the cost of sloth. Talking about the government aid they're going to need in order to feed that thing.
How much ice cream they're gonna have to
Rocky
eat.
Road.
Rocky Road, yeah.
It turns out he only
So the two
touched-
things I've taken from our rants and our talks about Goonies that were like aha moments for me was one, everyone set all these booty traps and laid out all their gems in like the galley and then died slowly sitting at the table. And then two, Chunk's parents probably owned the pizza's parlor. There's no other explanation.
There is literally like a guy like still looking through his binoculars as a skeleton. It's like you posed
You
that
died like
mannequin. He was like, "Oh, it hurts so bad.
oh
I just
god,
gotta
the poison is kicking in.
Why am I using these in a cave anyway?"
Yeah.
They were lighted binoculars.
Hmm.
We made it up.
I saw an interview with Chunk. I forget the actor's name. From right after the movie came out, he was on some like late night show. He was discovered. Everyone else like auditioned, and Chunk was discovered and was super nervous going in to meet Steven Spielberg. And his mom on the car ride over just said, "Just remember, you're a nice young Jewish boy talking to another Jewish boy. That's all." And that's how he got through the first movie with Steven Spielberg. Is like,
Thanks for watching. We love you, and we hope to see you again. We might do more of this. Maybe we're going to talk about movies more for sure.
Gremlins
We
is
usually try
definitely
and keep
another
it
one.
integral,
I've got a
but-
good 2 hours of ranting on Gremlins.
Oh golly, I got some magic up my sleeves with Gremlins.
Also, the plot, premise, and script for Gremlins 3 in the book.
Yep.
In the bell.
There you go. Came to me in a dream. I woke up with it fully fleshed. I wish I had a Goonies 2 dream. That would be dope. Yeah. Well.
About time to hit that old day trail. Love everybody. Like, comment, subscribe.
Subscribe. Join us on
Join the Discord convo.
Let us
And,
know if you have any movie suggestions.
Celebrate
Oh,
small victories
yeah.
and, value the people that you love today.
I hope you find a treasure map that illogically gets you to money that you're going to steal from the government.
I sure hope so. We all need a little something from time to time.